Hello, everyone. I know I'm speaking to the choir here in that we all have a desire to see our technology get deployed and employed all around the state, around the world. But I come to mind passion through my indoctrination. So I'm going to share a little bit different perspective. My first recollection of deriving that indoctrination comes from my undergraduate days when we would have dinner with Jonas Salk, who had just established an institution across the street from where I went to school. Jonas Salk was coming to dinner with us. We all went to dinner then because it was really good dinner at the cafeteria. But it was really all about his passion for understanding something called gene expression. And he's an MD, not a PhD. He turned his attention really to the use of viruses to study gene expression. That virus that he was using turned out to be the virus that caused polio. And he subsequently turned that appreciation for gene expression into the polio vaccine, which we now know is a lifesaver around the world. My second experience comes during my graduate career, where I was very fortunate to hear Herbert Boyer talk about a funny experiment he did with one of his colleagues, Stanley Cohen, to clone a piece of frog DNA. And everybody thought, that's pretty cool, great technology. But it was really in that discussion period afterwards that Dr. Boyer really caught our attention. He talked about really why he did all of this, because he wanted to clone the human insulin gene. He wanted to put that gene into bacteria, have that bacteria produce human insulin, and thus provide a therapeutic that wasn't currently available. The therapeutic at the time was porcine or pig insulin, and a lot of adverse effects come with the use of that therapeutic. So, of course, Herbert Boyer is the founder of Genentech, one of the most successful biotechnology companies in the world. In 1985, I come to the University of Kentucky, and I came to the University of Kentucky. I'm going to share a comment made by President Chappell and President Todd, that really because of the can-do environment that is presented here. We really can do great things. And so I was enthralled by that, and I hope I have fulfilled that in my career here. I came quite a few years ago in 1985, and the passion for me is really the chemistry of plants. And you understand that already. Plants are the source of food, fiber, and medicines for many of the applications around the world. I'm very interested in that chemistry, and the way that I try to capture that chemistry is through the genetic blueprints that the plants have for that, so that we can produce chemicals at large. The first entrepreneurial activity, and I don't even think many people would maybe a few of you would remember back in the early 90s, we were one of the first occupants of the Aztec building. That was with Mark Nielsen and Glenn Collins, fellow faculty members in the College of Agriculture, and we started a company called GenApps. And GenApps was pretty successful in the normal time, graduated, moved out into the community with investment from an industrial concern, and one of the founders, Mark Nielsen, left to go shepherd that along, and he served in that capacity for 17 years before retiring about 8 years ago. In the late 1990s and early 200s, I again launched another entrepreneurial activity with Allelix. And Allelix was again really trying to take the chemistry from plants and commercialize it. And I'll just tell you a little aside from one of the early interested parties in our technology. This is the large flavor fragrance community, large firms, and our partner at the time was Firmenich in Switzerland. And the fragrance that you might not recognize as being so potent is really the smell of men's sneakers, well-used sneakers. And at a certain concentration, that really does trigger lots going on in your head, and it makes for a wonderful aroma and fragrance. I know that sounds very strange, but that was kind of the essence of Alelics. Alelics went on to be one of the early supporters of the Bluegrass Angels, and we very much appreciated Dr. Todd and many of the other people here in the community for helping to get that organization to invest in startups like ours. More recently, I've been involved with another startup, Inapret, which is up on the slide there for you. If you look at that word backwards, you'll know the chemistry that we're involved in. So we're about turning upside down an area of chemistry. And that's really dedicated to the medical and personal care product community. I'm going to end now with a little saying that I think will also resonate with some of the past comments from President Capelouto and President Todd. So when I was very junior and I would say my goodbyes to my partners, we would say, keep the faith. And it had nothing, so I'm from the West Coast, it had nothing to do with religion at all. I grew up in a very tumultuous time, of course, and we were always going to sit-ins and protests and all of that. And so we had to keep our spirits up, right? And so you would leave your buddies by saying, keep the faith, okay? And that's the message I have for this entrepreneurial community and for how we spread what we do, that mission of talking about what we doing, that we do. And I invite you all to help us all and the future generations to keep the faith. Thank you.